As you enter the chamber, you see a collection of treasure that could only be amassed by generations of royalty. Okay, let's keep a sharp eye out. Treasures like this usually come with a guardian. As your voice resounds through the chamber, you feel the earth rumble beneath you, and you hear a thunderous voice proclaim, "Blasphemers, how dare you enter the royal treasury? Why?" An immense mummified corpse appears before you and charges at the party. Do we roll initiative? In a minute. I want to set up the terrain for this encounter. I just got a great deal on a bunch of Dwarven Forge stuff. Oh, okay. Now, I just need to get these boxes out of the garage and, no, these are heavy. Hold on. Just 2 more. Oh, hey, I found my old dice bag. Hey, let's just get these here, and this will be just a moment. Requires some assembly. I just lay down the foundation to make sure it matches with my notes here. And okay, great. I just need there's that piece, and we'll run the power cables through here. Does anyone have a AA battery? No? That's fine. I'll just take it out of the TV remote. Okay, great. We're almost a third of the way there. Okay, then we put the shingles on, and that should just about do it. Okay, now you can roll initiative. What? Don't let this happen to you. Don't let your game be brought to a standstill by overly elaborate terrain construction. This message is especially for older players like myself who maybe squeeze 4 or 5 hours of playtime into a month because real life eats up everything else. Every minute counts at the game table, and no one wants to watch you play with Legos while they twiddle their thumbs. Now I can hear you asking, but Fudge Master, you have an awful lot of terrain videos on your channel. Of course, I'm not anti-terrain, but you need to strike a balance. Shout out to my DM who owns a ton of terrain, even makes his own, but uses it sparingly. When it's time for combat, he might throw down a couple of set pieces when appropriate, but then we are off to the races. For my money, I like to see the game keep moving. I like the tension to keep building towards combat. Nothing breaks that up more than setting up some elaborate terrain. My point is, there's something to be said for terrain that's quick and easy to deploy, and boy, do I have something that fits the bill this week. These are scatter coffins, and they're so light you can literally scatter them on the gaming table to great effect. You can easily turn any battle map into a catacomb or crypt stacked with coffins. Let me show you how I made them. I started off with this little 25mm coffin, which came from the Bram Stoker's Dracula RPG that was out in 1992. The game flopped, so I got a bunch of the miniatures dirt cheap. And I used it to trace out a couple of pieces of foam that I'm going to cut out. I used it as a stencil for my coffin shape. Guys, if you don't have a little coffin like I have to start as a model, all you have to do is download an image of a coffin, find a coffin shape, and then just trace off your computer screen. Get it into image viewing program that lets you scale up and down, and just scale that image down to 25mm. Just get it about the size of a man if you wanted to put an average man in there, not, like a barbarian Goliath or anything. And there's your coffin shape. You can do the same thing. You trace that shape, and then instead of using the little coffin, you just use your piece of paper. Maybe trace it onto a piece of cardboard first, so you have something a little less flimsy before you start putting it on the foam. But same principle. You don't need to have this coffin to do this project. And I'm using 2 different thicknesses of foam that end up being about the same thing. And what's great about this foam is they're both free. They're both foam that would come out of the trash. It's not anything special you have to hunt down. The foams are the type that you get in an egg carton, and then the type that comes with meat packaging. They're both this sort of yellow foam. Now, the meat packaging foam, I know you think that's gross because it has blood on it, but that blood washes off. I just put it in the sink like it was a plastic dish. I scrub the heck out of it, sterilize it with hot water, and it's perfectly fine to use. I'd rather it be on my game table than in a landfill for a billion years. And on the egg carton, which is going to be our lid, I trace it a little bit bigger and I cut it just a little bit bigger, and that gives us sort of a lid effect on the coffin. Now, of course, I'm going to glue those 2 pieces together using just regular white PVA glue. Sit overnight or at least for 4 or 5 hours before I try to do anything else with it. I want to have a little extra detail, as this coffin does, so I'm just going to cut out a little piece of paper to act as raised area that exists on the model coffin from the Bram Stoker game. And I'm just cutting that out of notebook paper, and we're also applying that with some PVA glue. Real simple stuff. Again, I just sort of trace it, and I cut it a little bit small, cut a little inside the lines, so we get the effect we like. I think it makes them look much nicer when it's all said and done. And here I have a dozen, and these took me maybe an hour, 1 dozen coffins. Now I'm just slapping some raw sienna on here. When it's all said and done, I end up going with a darker brown. It has better coverage and actually ends up giving me more of the effect I like, although any brown will work. You could dry brush these, you could give these a wash. I don't do any of that. I do, however, take some of this confetti, which is Halloween confetti, which I picked up for 50 cents after Halloween, dirt cheap stuff, and I pick out some of the skull and crossbone shapes out of there. And these are made out of a sort of a vinyl, nice thick plastic for what they are. And then I'm just going to cut them up so they fit on the coffin, and I'm going to paint them metallic. I tried a gold one. I didn't really care for it. I ended up going with silver for all of them. But the overall effect, once they're applied and put on with glue on the center of the coffin, is quite nice. I don't do it to all of them. I just want to have a little variety. And so some have skull and crossbones, some just have a skull. Most of them are just still left blank. I did try a little freehand, and I didn't love that. Yeah, these are my overall coffin effects, and let's take a look and see how they look in gameplay. I think they look pretty great. And I might make even more of these. I really enjoy them. So that's it for today, guys. If you'd like to support this channel, please consider donating to my GoFundMe. Come visit us on the Facebook page. It's a great way to stay in touch and see what's going on. If you'd like to see pictures of our projects, a lot of people do. I always forget to mention that. Yeah, if you go to Facebook, you can actually see the photographs of the projects you see in these videos, so you don't have to just watch them in the videos. And I also have a Discord channel. The description's in the link below. And thanks for watching, guys. We'll have another video up shortly.